Hello, welcome to my class. I am Pamela Jasmine. Today I am going to teach Geography Waste Management. The impact of waste accumulation. So we have to study from that impacts only. So first is spoilage of landscape. Spoilage of landscape refers to the accumulation of heaps of garbage and waste that is simply dumped into vacant land and left to decompose. Human beings are responsible for spoilage of landscape. We dump waste on an empty space, on a vacant space, and leave it to decompose by itself. So, these open dumps not only emanate foul smell, but also spoil the visual appeal of a place. That means it creates a foul smell. Not only that, but it spoils the visual beauty of that land, of that space. Now, pollution. What is pollution? The word pollute means to degrade or to contaminate. Contaminate means make it dirty. So, pollution is thus. What is pollution? Pollution is an unfavorable modification of the natural world caused entirely or partially due to direct or indirect action of human beings. So it is an unfavorable addition or unfavorable modification of the natural world. Natural world as if it is clean and beautiful. But it is a unfavorable modification. Who is doing that? Human beings are doing that. So pollution is thus an unfavorable modification of the natural world caused entirely or partly due to the direct or indirect actions of human beings. See, we are doing it directly or indirectly. So it is an unfavorable modification to the natural land. Now, accumulation of waste is probably the most visible form of pollution. So that's a question. What is the most visible form of pollution? Accumulation of waste. That is the most visible form of pollution. The handling of solid waste is a problem because most disposal methods cause harm to the environment. Whichever way, when we dispose waste, it causes harm to the natural environment. Both open dumps and landfills may contain toxins. See, sometimes we may dump into an open space, dump waste into an open space, and sometimes we dig a pit and put the waste into that. That is landfills. So both open dumps and landfills may contain toxins. Toxins means poisonous material. And toxins that seep into the soil, that would percolate or seep down into the soil and the water bodies and cause soil and water pollution respectively. So when we dump waste, it would produce water pollution as well as land pollution. So now we'll see industrial waste. See how industrial waste cause pollution. Industrial waste contains harmful chemicals. Harmful chemicals, particulate matter, that is small particles from the industries. They emit small, very minute particles into the atmosphere. And toxic heavy metals also, such as lead and mercury. So these all cause pollution. These toxic chemicals and heavy metals get deposited in animal tissues and harm living things along the food chain. So, for example, grass gets some toxic chemicals from the soil. Then that grass is consumed by animals and get affected by toxins. These animals directly or indirectly pass on these toxins to human beings through their dairy products or meat. See, for example, grass is affected by these pollutants and these grass will be eaten by cow, and when we drink the milk, we'll get affected. And if we eat the meat of these animals, then also we'll get affected. So, as accumulated waste decomposes, it produces a large quantity of methane gas. Methane gas is also poisonous. Water pollution. Water pollution occurs when people discharge large amount of waste into water bodies. So, then eutrophication occurs. What is eutrophication? Eutrophication is the process of depletion of oxygen from water bodies occurring either naturally or due to human activities. The process of eutrophication takes place due to introduction of nutrients and chemicals through discharge of domestic sewage, industrial effluents, and fertilizers from agricultural fields. So there are some form of nutrients in this sewage, fertilizers and effluents from the factories. So these nutrients, when these nutrients accumulate, become abundant due to waste accumulation, the growth of phytoplankton and algae increase. So these phytoplankton and algae, we can see some water bodies are covered with algae. So this, because of this accumulation or because of this, growth of this phytoplankton and algae, this reduce the penetration of oxygen, light and heat into water body. As a result, aquatic plants are unable to carry out photosynthesis. If there is no photosynthesis, oxygen will not be released. So aquatic plants will be affected. At the same time, aquatic animals are also affected by eutrophication. Aquatic plants are unable to carry on photosynthesis, reducing the oxygen content of water. This causes death of most of the aquatic organisms, draining water of all its oxygen. Now, waste accumulation and global problems. See, this waste accumulation causes so many global problems. Global warming. See, when organic waste decomposes, carbon dioxide and methane gas is produced. So these carbon dioxide and methane gases are known as greenhouse gases. This contributes to global warming and climatic change. So the rate of absorption of solar radiation by Earth and its emission back into space as infrared waves balances the heat on the Earth. How heat is balanced on the Earth? So rate of absorption of solar radiation. Solar radiation is absorbed by Earth. But this heat should be emitted back. This heat should be emitted back into space as infrared waves. Then only the heat is balanced in the atmosphere. But see, this is this phenomenon, that is that balancing of heat is a very important, it plays a very important role in maintaining surface temperature of the Earth. The carbon dioxide and other gases form a blanket around the globe which prevents the passage of infrared waves from the Earth back into the space. When there is carbon dioxide and methane and all fill the Earth, it would act as a blanket. It won't allow this infrared waves go back from the Earth. So heat cannot be balanced. So concentration of solar radiation produces much heat. When the heat is not emitted back, then what happens? Heat will increase. So concentration of solar radiation produces much heat, making the Earth a very warm place. This phenomenon is similar to that of greenhouse, in which the glass enclosed area gets heated up due to the insulation from the rest of the environment. It is like a glass house. Heat will come inside, but heat will not go out. Then the heat will be more and more. The warming up of the atmosphere is due to the greenhouse effect. So we can call it as greenhouse effect. Hence, global warming is also known as greenhouse effect. So our future is in danger if there is accumulation of carbon dioxide and methane, or more and more, our atmosphere gets affected. So now we'll see the effects of global warming. We have to learn 4 points. First, global temperature is likely to rise by 2 degrees Celsius to 5 degrees Celsius during the next century. If this greenhouse effect or global warming is there, what happens? The temperature will increase by 2 degree to 5 degrees Celsius in the next century. Then, if the temperature rises, what happens? Due to rise in temperature by 2 degrees Celsius to 5 degrees Celsius, there is a chance of melting of ice caps on the Earth's poles. When the ice cap melts, what happens? This melting of ice will result in the rise of the sea level. When the ice cap melts, that water will come to the sea and the sea level will increase. Large stretches of low-lying areas will submerge. Then what happens when the sea level increases? Some low-lying areas will be submerged under water. Then large stretches of low-lying areas will submerge and many island countries will face deep encroachment by seawater. Seawater will cover the low-lying areas. Some may disappear altogether. So that is the second point. So first is rise in temperature by 2 degree to 5 degrees Celsius. And because of that, ice caps will melt and then the sea level will increase and low-lying lands will be submerged in water. Then higher temperature will cause rise in transpiration, which in turn will affect the groundwater table. So what happens if the temperature is more and more, then transpiration. Do you know what is transpiration? So emission of moisture from plants through the stomata of the leaves. So if the temperature is more, transpiration will be more. Then plants will absorb more and more water from the ground and the groundwater table will be affected. Then insects and pests will increase in the warmer climatic conditions. That will be there. The warmer temperature, the warmer climatic conditions are favorable for insects and pests. Thus pathogenic disease will multiply. So these are the effects of global warming or greenhouse effect. Now next is ozone layer depletion. So do you know what is ozone layer? Where is ozone layer? Ozone layer is in the stratosphere. It is in the second layer of the atmosphere. First layer is troposphere, second layer is stratosphere. So ozone layer is in the stratosphere. So in spite of its low density, the ozone layer plays an important role in our life. Ozone layer is very protective. Due to the presence of ozone layer, ultraviolet rays and infrared rays from the sun cannot reach Earth directly. So this ozone layer protects the environment as a blanket. It won't allow harmful infrared rays and ultraviolet rays to reach the Earth. This ozone layer will protect the Earth from the harmful infrared and ultraviolet radiations. Then, it has been revealed from different researches that, see how this ozone layer get affected. So, there are 3 factors. So, when oxides of nitrogen come in contact with ozone, their chemical reaction destroys ozone layer. When nitric oxide and nitrous oxide, oxides of nitrogen, come in contact with the ozone. Ozone is O3. When these oxides of nitrogen come in contact with the oxides of nitrogen, this ozone will get destroyed. Okay, then that is one factor. Then supersonic aeroplanes move through the atmosphere, move through the stratosphere and emit huge amount of nitrogen gas which deplete the ozone layer. That is the second factor. First is oxides of nitrogen react with ozone and that ozone is getting destroyed. Second is the supersonic planes. So supersonic aeroplanes move through the stratosphere and it emit a large amount of nitrogen. That would also react with the ozone layer and it is getting destroyed. Then third, that is depletion of chlorofluorocarbons, that is CFCs, which have strong power to damage ozone layer. So all the developed and developing countries are using CFCs as type of as refrigerants and aerosol. Then paints, plastics, foam and thermal insulating materials. During the use of such materials, a lot of CFCs ultimately get dispersed into the atmosphere that destroy the ozone layer. A hole has been observed in the ozone layer in the stratosphere near Antarctica. There is a hole near Antarctica. This hole allows the ultraviolet rays of the sun to reach the earth directly without any obstacle or filtration. If there is ozone layer, ultraviolet rays cannot reach earth. But now there is a hole in the ozone layer near Antarctica. These ultraviolet rays cause many diseases like skin cancer, cataract, etc. The ultraviolet rays cause genetic disorders which ultimately affect heredity. So then increased amount of ultraviolet rays cause ecological imbalance in marine ecosystem. Green algae, fish and other animals on continental shelves get affected by ultraviolet rays. Next is acid rain. So we know that when we burn coal, wood or petroleum, that produce sulfur and nitrogen. These two react with oxygen and produce its oxides. That when nitrogen react with oxygen, it forms nitric oxide and nitrous oxide. Same way, sulfur, when reacts with oxygen, it produces its oxides. During rain, these oxides react with large quantities of water vapor in the atmosphere to form acids like sulfuric acid, sulfurous acid, nitrous acid and nitric acid. When they precipitate together with rain or snow, it forms acid rain. So like that, acid rain is caused. Now, effects of acid rain. Acid rain increases acidity in the soil and destroys forests and crops. So we know the soil should have a perfect pH value. If acidity or alkalinity are more, then the soil becomes infertile. So if there is more acidity in the soil, it destroys forests and crops. Now, it corrodes buildings, monuments, statues, etc. We know that. So the pollutants from the Mathura oil refinery has been turning the white marble surface of Taj Mahal into yellow. It destroys this pollutants from Mathura oil refinery. Emit pollutants and it destroys the white marble of Taj Mahal. Now, it affects the human nervous system by causing neurological diseases. Then aquatic species are affected due to acid rain. We know that if there is acid rain, all the forms of life will get affected. So human health is affected, then human nervous system is affected, and aquatic life or aquatic species are affected due to acid rain. Then acid rain affects the plant growth. Plant leaves get burnt and dry. Now health hazards. So domestic waste poses a serious threat. Since it is organic in nature, it undergoes fermentation and creates conditions favorable for the survival and growth of pathogens. Pathogens means disease-causing germs. So flies, insects, rodents, etc. live in the accumulated waste and carry germs of various diseases to human habitations. Decomposition of waste produces harmful gases that pollute the air around us. So we know that when waste is getting decomposed, so many harmful gases emit and that pollute the air. Then choking of drains and gully pits by the solid waste result in waterlogging, especially during the rainy season. The waterlogging results in breeding of mosquitoes in the stagnant water, which spread diseases like malaria and chikungunya. Now, hazardous waste. Hazardous waste are toxic substances which cause an increase in death rate and serious irreversible or incapacitating reversible illness. So that is irreversible. If we are affected with such hazardous toxins, we cannot get healed. Such type of toxins are called hazardous waste that cause death, that cause an increasing death rate. Lead is a harmful toxin and it can affect the development of a child's brain. And asbestos. Asbestos can cause a respiratory disease known as asbestosis. Mercury is a highly poisonous, highly toxic chemical which attacks the nervous system, causing brain damage and even death. Arsenic is another chemical that has been shown to cause cancer. So you can name hazardous toxins. So as hazardous waste. So first is lead, mercury, asbestos, arsenic. These all are hazardous waste. So radioactive waste produced by nuclear reactors and weapon factories causes a potentially serious environmental problem. Radioactive waste, although present in small quantities, even though radioactive wastes are in small quantities, this remains extremely harmful to human health for many years. We cannot destroy radioactive waste. It will be there in the environment, in the on the land for so many years, and it would cause damage to health. Then, effect on terrestrial life. Terrestrial life includes all the organisms that live on land, human beings, plants, and animals. So, effect on human beings. Accumulation of soil waste looks ugly, smells foul, attracts insects, rats, and other animals that spread diseases. So it is, the most affected are human beings. Burning of waste in the open dump yards cause smoke and foul-smelling air. In addition, rainwater can drain through refuse and carry harmful substances to different places. Sanitary landfills are not fit for human settlements because methane and carbon dioxide gases are released in the first 2 years. These gases are produced when solid waste start decomposing. Effects on plants. Waste accumulation has dangerous effects on plant life. Plant life is affected either by direct deposition of harmful toxins from waste or indirectly through soil. The toxins cause, see how plants are affected by pollutants or waste accumulation. Different types of leaf injuries, premature leaf fall, and decrease in transpiration, reducing the rate of photosynthesis, and dust deposited on leaves block the stomata of plants. Effect on animals and birds. Scavengers and stray animals like dogs, rats, pigs, and cows are directly affected by waste when they feed on the waste for food. See, stray dogs, cows, and all know they would eat this waste. And sometimes what happens, sometimes these animals consume toxins or non-degradable substance like plastic carry bags present in the waste and die due to choking. So that would, they don't know, animals don't know. When they see waste, they would eat everything. And by mistake, these plastics and non-degradable substances enter into their body and they would die because of choking. The waste consumed by animals also lead to many diseases and other problems. For example, according to a study, mice that were fed on high levels of toxins had difficulty in reproducing. That caused infertility, and so did their offspring. Their young ones are also affected. These offspring also had higher rates of birth defects and low body weights. Effects on aquatic life. Waste accumulation can cause significant damage to aquatic life, both freshwater and marine. Two categories of waste that cause greatest damage to aquatic life, that is pesticides which run off agricultural lands and industrial and domestic waste that are improperly deposited into water bodies. So over 1 million marine animals including mammals, turtles, fish, shark, etc. are killed each year due to plastic debris in the oceans. The plastic waste is washed out from our beaches, streets and highways into rivers and streams and finally into the oceans. After some time, this plastic waste breaks down into smaller pieces which are easily ingested, which are easily consumed by marine animals, causing blockages in their digestive tracts and eventually death. When plastic is accumulated in the sea and it would decompose into small pieces. These small pieces are eaten by aquatic animals, marine animals, and that would cause their death. Marine turtles are more susceptible to the effects of consuming marine debris because they have downward facing spines which prevent the possibility of regurgitation. So turtles are most affected because their spine is downward facing. So they cannot spit it out. Regurgitation means spitting out. So which is the most affected marine animal by the accumulation or by the dumping of waste into the sea. So turtles are most affected because their spine is downward facing. So they cannot spit it out. Drilling for oil also causes harm to the marine animals in the form of pollution from oil spills. Toxins present in the waste can kill aquatic organisms directly by sufficiently changing the pH of water. That is also there. When we dump waste into water, its pH value will change. So the animals get affected because of the changing of the pH. Then that would cause the reduction in dissolved oxygen. The aquatic organisms are also affected by a phenomenon known as biomagnification. Let's see what is biomagnification. The term biomagnification means increasing the concentration of various toxic substances along the food chain. So biomagnification means increasing the concentration of various toxic substances along the food chain. Food chain gets affected. So toxic substances at the level of primary producers, that is plants. Primary producers are plants. These toxic substances get concentrated at each tropic level as they move up the food chain. Biomagnification. The term biomagnification means increasing the concentration of various toxic substances along the food chain. Increasing the concentration of various toxic substances along the food chain. Toxic substances at the level of primary producers get concentrated at each tropic level as they move up the food chain. The first level is the level of the primary producers. Primary producers are plants. The plants are first affected by pesticides, insecticides, such toxins. But when at the level, the phenomenon of concentrated toxic deposition at the higher tropic level is known as bioaccumulation. At first, plants are affected, and when it goes to higher and higher tropic level, it is getting accumulated. So the phenomenon of concentrated toxic deposition at the higher tropic level is known as bioaccumulation. A small amount of toxic constituent which is neither excreted nor metabolized gets increased as the food chain moves upward from one tropic level to the next, and the toxic constituents become concentrated. At first, it is infused in the plants. They are the primary producers. They are the first level in the tropic level, first tropic level. Then it is not getting excreted. Plants cannot excrete. It cannot excrete it out. So the next level, small insects or small animals consume the plants. Then these toxics will be accumulated in their body. Then higher levels, then rats or snakes will consume it. And again, this will be consumed by higher level, that is eagles or then mongoose or something like that. Some animals will consume, and it will accumulate. These toxins will go to the higher level of the tropic. So that is called bioaccumulation. If there are tracks of toxic chemicals in water, for example, if there are tracks of toxic chemicals in water, then their concentration in algae will be much higher. Algae will consume these toxins in water, and the concentration of these toxins will be higher in the algae. When fish eat the algae, the concentration of toxins will increase further. When fishes eat this algae, the concentration of toxins will be more in the fish. It will increase still further when big fish will eat smaller fish. Therefore, accumulation of a small amount of toxic chemicals in water can have a serious impact on the fish that live in it. Carelessness and the deliberate dumping of waste and oil spills in the seas and oceans pollute water and damage beaches. Marine pollution is a great threat to sea life, plants and animals. Oil spills decrease the penetration of light and hamper photosynthesis process. This we have discussed. Mercury in water can affect marine animals adversely. Mercury contamination in sea on coastal town in Japan caused illness in some fishermen because of consuming fishes caught from Minamata Bay. It also killed different seabird species feeding on fishes. This epidemic in Minamata is known as Minamata disease. Mercury contamination also results from waste of other industries like paper and pulp industry, chlorine industry, pesticide industry, etc. Pesticides with mercury add a considerable proportion of mercury to natural water bodies. That's all for this chapter. I hope you all understood this chapter. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching. God bless.